Hey, welcome to the New Meta Podcast, episode 109.
109.
Yeah, I am staring at a black screen right now. It's pretty awesome, but we'll get
Just
to it.
imagine the podcast.
I'm just going to imagine Fluff's facial expressions all the time. When he starts talking about PoE, oh man, I can't hide my expressions now.
Yeah,
So
I can see you, but there's a 15-second delay, so I'm like, right now I'm flipping you off, but you're not going to be able to see that for another 15, 20 seconds, so it's great.
nice. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Let's talk about the polls we had last week. We talked a little bit about, do you think Blizzard should disable the seasonal theme and reset the leaderboards for the rest of season 21?
No.
What do you think?
Yes.
Well,
I mean, we talked about it a little bit last week. I think that as much as people want, no, you can't do that. You just can't. You could disable the seasonal theme, but a leaderboard reset is unethical. And yeah, you still got the advantage of the.
Once you commit, I think you're stuck. I agree that any exploits, I don't think they should have changed the seasonal theme even in the middle of the season, like they did. Like they patched it for solos. I don't know how people were abusing it in solo. I understand how it works in group now, but I don't know, man. Did they wipe the leaderboards after they fixed it for solos too?
No.
And so then they either should have wiped them when they fixed it for solos, or they shouldn't have done anything, because people definitely took advantage of that.
Yeah, no idea. So, zero idea.
I don't know, man. Leaderboards are so jacked anyways. Like until they start running bots consistently, like weekly. How hard is it to do a weekly scrub?
Wow, here we go.
Of the leaderboard.
An intern could do it, huh?
I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It does suck. I think that, obviously the more often they do it, even if it's a losing battle where they can never stop the bots, like if they ban more often, then I think it further increases legitimacy.
A little more. Yeah. You got to be scared of it. People aren't even scared of it. People aren't even scared to talk about it now. Like they're like, yeah, I bought all the time. I'm like, cool. Thanks.
Nerd.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, I don't know, man. The leaderboards are fun. It's fun to get on leaderboard. Like, I got bumped off the other day and I'm like, oh cool, let's go do one and get back on. So, we one keyed up 26 or 27, 127 and got back on the leaderboard. And the DH is super competitive this season. Like the difference between not being on the leaderboard and then just doing one rift higher put me at like 600. You know what I mean? Like one rift is so. There's like this huge gap of people in the same range. And I think it's kind of cool to see the competition on that level. And then there are some classes where it's like, if you complete a rift, you get on the leaderboard like Wizard, so
right.
It's like Wizards like an 85 or something, and you're on.
Crazy.
So I don't think it's as prestigious as it used to be, I guess is my point where I'm going with it, So it's like,
the boards aren't as prestigious as they used to be?
I don't think so. Do you? You think being on the leaderboard at the end of the season has the same weight that it had in season 2, 3?
No.
4?
At the end of the season, no.
Yeah. No, not at all.
There's definitely less competition. I mean, if you're at the top of the DH boards, probably at the first few weeks of this season, it's probably somewhat prestigious because that's what everybody's playing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you're at the top of the Necro board for the first week and a half until you leave town, you're a god gamer, obviously. So yeah, outside of that, no, maybe not.
So what's the results? What do you think we got for this poll? Do you think they should do it?
I think most people, would say.
I'm gonna say people voted yes.
Yes, yeah. I'd say most people are like really hate the seasonal theme. I think this is like we talked about last week. I think this is the most complaining, if maybe any complaining I've ever seen about like the seasonal theme being just awful.
Right.
Like, even the double bounties, which to everyone like that was a seasoned Diablo player, were like omega lol. But of course, most people are like, "Oh my god, double goblins! That's amazing."
I've actually had people tell me they miss double goblins.
I know,
and I thought they were joking. And so I make a joke, and then I'm like, "Wait, you're serious, aren't you?" And they're like, "Yeah, man, they love the double goblins." So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. All right, so I mean, in the perfect world where everything could be reset, sure, reset Why not? But,
Yep.
And really split. Is someone like hacking these polls and purposefully
I can't. You have to
making them
tell me.
even?
Remember,
Yeah, so it's 51% of votes says no, seasonal theme is fine. 49% of the vote says yes, sets can carry.
Nice.
I guess it's just a lot of Diablo Blizzard folks voting. No.
A lot of people are like, oh wait, no's winning. Pass this around the office.
Right.
You know, IT. How many IP addresses can we get?
But yeah, super interesting there. I did not expect that to be split. I know you probably feel that too, just being in a directory, but it seems like people really hate the theme. So
I can say that this season, the latency is the biggest issue of anything to me. And so I started playing hardcore this last week because did DH for 3 weeks. It's fun. It's a fun set, but I'm like burning out a little bit. I'm like, let's play something new. And then so people are talking me into playing hardcore. I'm like, okay, I'll make a hardcore monk. So I made this monk. And I got the monk up, and he's nowhere near as juicy as the DH, right? It's a brand new, hardcore account. But I get him to 800 Paragon. I have the sets. I'm zooming some 16s, and the latency is just not there. It feels good. It feels, like it should. And then I switch back over to softcore and start playing the Demon Hunter. And dude, I'm rubber banding all around the screen. I'm like getting freezes, locks. It's insane the difference. And I'm assuming it's because of the DH set. It's got to be. That's the factor that's the same. And it's just because it doesn't matter. It could be 16s, T16s. It could be some lower grader riffs. Like we're talking like just doing like 99s, and it's horrible, man. So, I don't know. I really hope that they can fix that issue for next season because that's a killer to me, especially if it's a ZDH with the bolus. It makes it even worse. But just the DH set in general seems to produce this weird rubber banding effect that it's super noticeable after you've been playing on a different character class. So,
but speaking of next season, for next week's poll, we'll spam in chat real quick. I kind of just like quickly scoped over all the classes and the sets, and I kind of picked what I think are probably the least utilized or been the longest in just like the total dust of Diablo. One set from each class. So, which set do you want to see get the most love in Diablo 3's next season? And that's Immortal King's Call.
Yeah.
Roland's Legacy. Natalia's Vengeance. Juliana's Stratagem. Tragul's Avatar. Zunamos's Haunt. And Firebird's Finery.
There's a couple on there that I would like to see them hit. And I could talk about
all of them if you want to see it, but you got to pick one.
Yeah, there's a couple that I'm like, man, please. Like there's a couple on that list that I would really like to see them get. So
yeah, me too. We'll talk about it next week. Don't fucking say anything. Okay?
Nobody cares about Witch Doctor, just saying. So
literally say don't say. God damn it.
All right. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just trolling people into voting Witch Doctor,
Yeah.
But
yeah, so you're playing a hardcore monk to what? To
let me back up real quick. Because we need to talk about the Patreon real quick. Guys, if you don't know. We do the Patreon. You can listen to the pre-podcast show. I think next week we're going to have to figure out logistics of this. But we have our first Patreon supporter that has signed up to do the Ask Me Anything.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's next podcast, bud. So if you're out there listening, Joe, you know who you are, Joe. You're gonna have to we need to touch base and figure out logistics on this and probably do some testing and work it out. But we should have a nice little segment to add to the end of the podcast next week. So anyways, that's there. Patreon, check it out, guys. The links are in the descriptions and Discord and Reddit and all those things. So, but yeah, man, I started playing hardcore a little bit. It's cool. I think chat just wants to see me die. I've discovered. I mean, of course they want to see you die.
Yeah, of course.
They like really get off on seeing you die. Like they try to distract. They do anything they can. Watch you rip.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
I think that hardcore in most games is kind of a more enticing viewer experience. Unless, to me, it's like I get why, and I get that that's exciting. But then again, at the same time, to like watch a streamer kind of replay the noob content over and over instead of like really driving into like end game and min maxing and stuff like that. I don't know. I think I would prefer, and that's why I kind of tend to stay away from. It's just that like kind of end game pushing the limits of things that are possible rather than just like, oh, I died, let me just like replay this shit again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I understand that. I get it. It definitely has a more on edge feel. You're definitely, more nervous and attentive and things like that. But it's fun for a little bit. My thought process is I'm gonna put all this time into the character, and as soon as I die, all that time is gone. It doesn't matter. And I guess that's the thrill for some people.
Yeah.
And for me personally, it's like, I don't know, man, that's a lot of time to throw away. So, but when the season ends, all the time gets thrown away anyways. I'm never gonna play
Right.
non-season.
True.
So does it really matter? I don't know. But we're doing it, man. We're trying it out. It's fun. I'm having a good time. After I rip once, I don't know that I'll keep going. It'll probably be like, well, that was fun. Next.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I
I
don't know.
do like hardcore in Diablo more than I do Path of Exile, but at the same time, I really hate the concept of like procking a cheat death in Diablo and just like waiting. That feels
Mhm.
really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, there shouldn't be cheat deaths in hardcore, right?
Yeah. But then at the same time, you port into a map and like the first mob you see is like a group of tongue lashers and you're just like dead. There's nothing you
That's
could have
just
done
hard.
about it. Like unavoidable
That's just hard.
damage plus.
Yeah, but those things are always they're like, so there was a clip I saw. Did I put it in the schedule? Yeah, there's a thing in the filler section where you can see this PoE clip and this guy says what killed me. And if you watch this clip, like you can't see what hit the guy. He just dies. And then so like Reddit goes on to explain to him that there are hidden mechanics or hidden things inside PoE that get you sometimes. I don't know. You have to
Uh,
wait 9 seconds or 10 seconds or something.
I could probably see.
Yeah,
This is
there.
Uber Elder. He probably walked into one of the mobs that died and they leave a pool of crap on the ground. That's the only thing I can think
Yeah,
of.
but you can't see it though. You know what I mean? So he just falls over dead instantly. Like there's no like ticking damage. It's just 100 to 0. And so that just feels so bad, man. It's just like, okay, you know, that shouldn't exist in any game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely concur. I think unavoidable damage, and that's what I had slated up for later in the podcast. Actually, was I've been playing a ton of Lost Ark these past few weeks, and there's just like other than latency, like bullshit that happens because it's 200 ping. Like
Mhm.
you never not know, and it's such a breath of fresh air. Especially like I'm dipping my toes back into like some late season PE weeks. We haven't killed Awakener yet. We killed Awakener 6 Deathless, but we're pushing that again. And to go to play PoE after a game like Lost Ark, it's like, man, it is so dumb. I had like a whole night. I think I did 4 or 5 times last time I played PoE, and every single death was after like nothing, and nothing was alive anymore. Like
Right.
everything was an on death effect. And like 3 of them are like, how are you even supposed to know? You don't know like when a mob has corpse explosion in Path of
Yeah.
Exile. Like you just don't know.
Yeah.
And then until like the shit blows up and it's too late. It's just like, what a terrible mechanic. Like what a terrible, same with like spear throwers being able to
PoE is terrible.
pivot
I
and-
agree. I agree with you.
Okay, dude. You got a whole background that says you love Path of Exile. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I'm joking. I actually was thinking about that the other day too. If I'm gonna try to get back into it, because I said I was gonna try to kill Awakener, but the season's drug on and Diablo's pulled me away a little bit. But we'll see. How's the Lost Ark, man? I've been watching you play Lost Ark, and it's enticing me to come back, man. I'm like, ooh, it looks fun. Looks
Yeah,
good.
man. The some of the gameplay loops are there that I don't particularly love, but like we're getting deeper and deeper into the Guardians, and we kind of ran into like the first one. He's really really tough. It's like a scorpion guy, and he's just got like I feel like every Guardian up until him had like an arsenal of like maybe 10 abilities, and like you could kind of tell they're coming, and like sometimes you get effed, like he'll like stomp his foot into the ground, and it causes like maybe what do you call them, like geysers to pop up. And like if you get hit by one, you potentially get knocked into another, and you can go like a full health to dead. And that I mean, I like that, but because you should never be able to fuck up, right? But most of them are pretty easy. And until we get to the Scorpion guy, he's just like, he is a whole nother beast. He was killing groups, slaying groups, and I love that. Like going into a Guardian and you're like, maybe he's got 10% life, but your group just like wipes, and it's just like frustrating in the moment, but like it's so much more like
gonna be rewarding when you kill him.
Right? Yeah. When you kill him.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, it's been way more fun, and we just unlocked the next Guardian. So there's 7 tiers of Guardians, and I'm on tier 2. And the third guy. There's 4 tiers of Guardian.
Are these Guardians raid bosses? Like, what is a Guardian?
Yeah, exactly. So a Guardian it's basically Monster Hunter. So you're in a team of 4 people, and you go in, you don't know where he is, and you try to find him. And so finally, one guy on the team like finds him, and you ping him, and everyone rushes to him. And then you have 20 minutes to try to kill this guy. You never know what his health pool is at. And some of the bosses have like things where, at first they're stronger, or they get stronger over time. And some just really interesting mechanics. But at the same time, you have 3 lives split across your entire group. So if the moment one person in your group dies a 4th time across the whole group, like you get kicked out. You just get kicked out instantly. So it's over. That's
nice.
Yeah, it's super nice. Yeah. I
like that. I think that sounds good. It sounds rewarding.
Yeah.
And so you have that one noob dying over and over again.
Right. And it happens. I had a group where, this Scorpion guy, he's got this ability that does like a laser tail, and it targets one person in the group. And so that one person in the group has to like, try to dodge it and not run into the teammates. And so I died, and then I revived. And as soon as I revived, the guy like pivoted the boss into me, and he did his laser tail stun. And then did like a charge, and I went from like full health to fucking dead, like instantly on a revival, and killed like the group encounters. I was just like, God damn it. So it's like, it's really important that you have to not only like be good, but like communicate with your group and like not fuck over your group members.
So how does it work with you finding groups? I'm assuming you're on the Russian servers, right?
Yeah.
So are you? Yeah. How's that working?
That's a good question. So like when the game first came out in Korea, I had an Excel spreadsheet where I'd be like looking for a group for this Guardian in Korean, and I'd copy paste the phrase and I'd spam it in chat. But now there's a group finder, so you just like queue up and it just finds you.
It finds a team for you. Okay. Yeah, there are apparently for those that are potentially interested, there are there's some servers that are more English based than others, and I think the server that we're on, Fluff, that starts with the K, is not English-based server, but on Reddit I was looking, and it seems to be like there's one where there's a lot of English-speaking people. Yeah,
but it doesn't matter, honestly. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but with the group finder, it's pretty cool. And honestly, I remember when I was playing before, the couple times that I was in dungeons, people were speaking English. They were just like in chat.
I've had that too. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, hey, what need this or something like that. I don't remember exactly what they were saying, but they were communicating. So that was pretty cool, man. It was fun. I definitely want to get back into it. I think hopefully that'll happen as soon as exit lag comes through. I think we'll be set. So
$2.
So we'll see. No, it's more than that.
No, it's not. It's literally $2. Did.
What else do we got?
So there's that. This Guardian's picking up, and it's becoming more and more fun. But at the same time, there's other systems in the game that still kind of suck. So.
Like driving that ship around. Good God, that was so bad.
It's not fun. But man, these Guardian raids, like, I want Diablo to pay attention, because I think, in a group-based game, which is Diablo has very much been that. Diablo 3, I think, is obviously the best NA group ARPG. Like, PoE is a joke when it comes to group content. I think that it lends itself to that model very, very well. So I think it's an easy pullover.
The dungeons were so badass in Lost Ark 2, man.
They
were so good.
But at the same time, they're static. And so, like, I can only assume, and it's happened for me, like, I have to run the Chaos dungeons daily, and they're pretty boring. They get pretty boring. Yeah. Because you just run the same thing over and over again. They do have a new thing. It's like, it's almost like the Greater Rift key system from vanilla ROS.
Okay.
So you go into a zone, it's a static zone, it's open, it's big, and mobs like chase you down. You're basically trying to kill them as fast as you can within like a time limit, and you get better rewards for the faster you do it. So it's like basically like the key system, except for you can zone when everything's dead. So yeah, it's better than like there's no grindable solo content before this Yasmond thing was added, but it's still like not. I still want that ARPG feeling in Lost Ark that you just don't get. It's more of an MMO.
Right. The isometric MMO. Yep.
Yep.
The combat's just nice.
So
That's the only thing.
So
it just carries
good.
so hard.
Yep.
It's like, damn, dude.
Nutty.
Yep.
But speaking of maps and static maps, I wanted to pull up kind of this Omega lol image that was on Reddit this week of the sewer. So if you guys that are listening in, or ThaPChild, for example, is listening in, it is just this crazy long straight sewer. The RNG chance of this, I'm sure, is not great, but wow.
It looks like a unit, if you're being serious. It's just a big.
Yeah.
It's a big unit. So
man, like how, I don't know. Again, we've talked about it in the past, but I hope that Diablo 4 really embraces like what all you can do with like random generation.
Yeah. Like we can predict, and I mean, I guess that happens after you play 1 million hours, right?
Sure.
But we can predict which directions we need to go and things like that, just solely based on the tile sets we get. Like, oh, I know if I get this tile set to get out of this rift, I have to go northwest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I hope Diablo 4 can get away from that in general. Like, what if they don't even have tile sets? What if it's like randomly generated terrain? You know, it's like, so everything's unique. That could be crazy.
Yeah,
so,
that'd be dope.
Doubt it'll happen, but it could be crazy.
Yeah. And that, element of like verticality that you've always been interested in, like, we haven't seen that a ton, so it'd be cool.
No, it was in the demo though, man. They did it. Like they were the first ones to pull it off, I feel, in like a really good way.
What was in the demo that had verticality?
They had hills. They had big old hills in the demo, up and down hills.
I mean, Lost Ark had that but first, so.
Lost Ark had it first, but not the same. So Lost Ark to me still feels very narrow, like Diablo 3, where you have this very, like there's a big play space, but only a small portion of the screen is actually like walkable space where you can go.
Diablo 4 is just like that.
They had some big open hill areas though.
Not
but
really.
I agree. I agree that I'll maybe go back and watch the footage and see if I can find what I'm talking about. But Lost Ark definitely was the first one that I noticed that had hills in it. But I think Diablo 4 did it better.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I'm curious what will end up being like a bigger world. I got to ask that the other day. It's like Lost Ark is a pretty big fucking world. So I wonder, like all said and done, between I would assume based on the size of the D4 map, the D4 would be bigger.
Yeah, but Lost Ark doesn't feel seamless. That's the thing. It's instance, just like Diablo 3. It's like click on this portal to go to this little small area. And so that little small area, there might be 50 of those that make up a big country, but it's still just that little tiny area. It needs to have that seamless, like you can walk from one to the next to the next. And
I don't really give a shit. Personally, I don't care. I don't care that I have to zone. I've got a M.2 SSD. It takes me like 2 seconds to zone. If I have to zone to have a big, solid game, yeah, I'll take the zoning any day. I don't care if it's seamless or not.
Yeah, I agree that load times aren't an issue with it. It's just, and the loading of the zones, I guess, isn't as bad either. It's more just the playable space. Like if you look at that, like an example is that sewer map you have up. In that sewer map, there's a long tunnel that's probably goes through the center of the screen at that 45-degree angle. I would say 60% of the screen, like, really isn't even usable space. It's just that small little tunnel. And I get it, that's an indoor underground area. But if you go outside to like a festering woods, they still have that blocked off with random trees and stuff at the sides of the map. And like, it just doesn't feel open, man. It still feels like, okay, you're in this tiny little play space. This is what you get.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have that, like, I can go anywhere that I see. Oh, that's cool. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Diablo 4 definitely didn't have that.
Yeah.
Neither does Lost Ark. I don't think any game does.
I think Diablo 4's was better though. I do think it was better than the other ones. So But we'll see. We'll see. I need to go back and rewatch some of the footage, and then I'll try to find some of the spots you're talking about. Like, look, right here, Fluff. Runs up this hill. So,
I saw this in other news. Our boy Filthy Rich going ham on the forums.
Oh, snap.
He says, quote, as of late, feedback towards the season experience, new slet/class/item adjustments, and general thoughts on Diablo have been key topics read and shared with the team. I personally commit to spending time to shed light on topics and discussions like these that tap into creative player thoughts that can spark inspiration for the team. Please 1,000 times keep sharing of ideas and recommendations, knowing that the community team is here to amplify your voice. So that's cool.
That is cool, man.
They're listening.
Spit those ideas. Are the ideas for Diablo 3 or Diablo 4, though? Where did he post
D3.
that?
That's D3 forums, yeah. D3. These sounds like ideas and suggestions towards, seasonal class games. Set item adjustments in Diablo 3. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of that's probably. I think if somebody put together like you did for Necro, like all those Necro change ideas, and I think somebody's done that for Barb in the past too, maybe.
Totally.
But I would think that anybody that's got some really well organized and insightful set or class or item changes for specifically for classes, I think they would. I mean, there's a high chance of some of those great ideas getting picked up, and implemented.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because like some guy did do that, and Filthy actually commented on it. He said, "Thanks for the share, links and thoughts. Definitely took a lot of time and love. I look forward to finishing up the read." And so this guy like made this. Basically, he made a compendium of all his own posts and every like class subthread. And I didn't read through all of them, but like his necro chain suggestions were pretty bad. But at least Filthy Rich commented. I was like,
yeah, like they're reading it. They're taking the ideas. So
totally,
that's cool.
It is cool.
I made a baller witch doctor idea one time and they didn't use it. So
what was that? Whirlwind. Being able to move and do Hellfire bats at the same time.
Yep, that's it. Would have been fantastic. People would have loved it. Monday Nugo was better. It was good. No, it really was. It really was Hellfire and move at the same time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it really was.
That's not a baller idea at all.
No, it is.
Listen, Diablo developers never listen to ThaPChild ever. He just wants Whirlwind on every freaking class.
Listen, we got Whirlwind on DH, and people love that shit.
They love it, but like they're gonna love it for the first 3-4 weeks of the season. It's gonna be like dead. If anything ever is better than that set, like no one's gonna play that set. It's not that fun.
Anyways. I think they will. So I don't know, man. It's every set's faster and faster and faster and faster. Like that DH set is so ridiculously fast in T16s. I mean, it's like it's to a point where like looting is a hassle. Like you feel like you have to go back a screen just to get loot. And so they gotta slow the game down. But I don't know how you slow the game down at this point and you don't piss everybody off and make everybody quit.
I don't know. I mean,
you can't
we can't speak for everybody, but like I'd rather them roll the dice and like try it. Like maybe nerf. Maybe that could be the seasonal theme next season. We just fucking nerf everyone by 20 GRs across the board. And then if people like freak out, then at the end of the season they're like, okay, well, that's a seasonal theme. So
yeah, you could Paragon point cap would help a little bit. So if the seasonal theme was Paragon point cap and it's 2,000, you're significantly limiting power. There are still some people that are going to pull the 150s off, right?
Yeah, but, I mean, a lot of people don't pull 150s.
A lot of people, but yeah. But yeah, I'm with it, man. Maybe they add something on top of the Paragon cap. What else could you do? No ancients, no primals.
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. How could you pull the power back without like a crazy balance patch that would affect non-seasonal too?
I mean, you just have to. Change the numbers on the sets and the LOD. That's all it would take.
Yeah,
but that's not an easy task, obviously. I mean, here, like at the end of the day, they have to adjust the numbers on like most of the sets, anyways. So why not just like scale them back? I don't know. Because if they want to achieve balance one day, then everything has to get scaled anyways. So Like, once you
Movement
scale
speed has to
everything back.
slow down too, though. I mean, that's just as much of the problem. Like, I love going fast. I love zooming everywhere.
But if
But
you didn't
it's
kill everything in one shot, it wouldn't matter how fast you move.
yeah, I guess. If you're trying to do 16s and
Yeah.
16s are actually hard,
So it'd be cool to
then
have that kind of movement speed for bounties because you want that because you don't kill everything. You don't care.
mhm.
So I think that that kind of speed's great. It's just like what you said. Like if you move that fast and like literally everything gets like half tapped to death, and it's just yeah, you have to go back for your own loot all the
Yeah,
time.
you're backtracking the whole
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Yeah, it would be. I think a Paragon cap season should happen, and I think a balance patch should happen. I think everybody power creep's definitely too high in the game. Like people, I think doing 150 should be unreasonable. Like
Yeah,
nobody should be able to do it. Even the best of the best still shouldn't
totally.
get 150.
And imagine the
Yeah,
performance gains you would get out of no
yeah, dude.
longer being
The
able to push that
lag
high.
gotta get fixed. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop playing if the lag continues to go as it is. Like, every season, that bothers me more than anything else I've experienced in the game, is rubber banding around the screen on this new DH set. It feels sick. It's disgusting. And it's like such a little thing that you don't think it would make that much difference. But when you're playing it and then you get blown up by an explosion and you're like, "I wasn't there. Like, I wasn't in that spot." I'm like, "Okay. Like, I'm done. I'm sick of it." So and it's damage. It's got to be damage calculations, so maybe tune the numbers
Hmm.
down. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're no longer like zooming 120s solo and you're back to like 90s, yeah, server performance is going way up.
Right.
Period.
Fuck that. Let's go back to 50s, dude. Like
Let's
let's
go back to
nerf
where
it.
T13 no one can run T16.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's make
No.
T16s impossible.
Actually, you know
Like
what? Scale it
if
back
you
to
want to
T13. Just get rid of T16. Never should have been
yeah,
added.
yeah, do it. T10s even,
Let's
you know?
go. Let's go.
T10s?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm
Can't wait to
down.
see the YouTube comments on this
Yeah.
section. So
No, we need T20. What are these guys talking about?
Utah's fucking idiot, Blizzard. Don't listen to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love T16s. I can do them naked.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know. Seriously though, I think a Paragon cap would be great, and I do think scaling stuff back. I would be cool with having 100 speed difficult content again. I feel like
Totally.
because then that puts the 150 cap out of range. If a 100's difficult, you're not getting a 150.
Yeah.
So
I think the seasonal theme being like a damage nerf could be like almost a PTR season, and people could hate it. People could be like, "This is the best Diablo 3 has been in a long time."
mhm.
Oh.
I mean, if it sucks, the numbers are going to drop off hard after a month
Yeah.
anyway.
I mean, look at this season. The seasonal theme like sucked, and the numbers did probably drop. Who knows?
Well, you can abuse it to do four-mans
Yeah,
and
so
stuff
maybe
now.
people
So
love that. I don't know. Yeah.
people might love that. I don't know. It does. So I was talking. It does change the way you play the game. The
Yeah.
seasonal theme accomplishes all the goals like set out for a seasonal theme. The
Sure.
seasonal theme adds uniqueness to the game. It changes the way you play group play significantly. It changes the comps you take into group play because you don't need RGK. You can just kill with the seasonal theme. It's like all that stuff works, man. The seasonal theme is actually a success on the checkboxes. Like it checks off every box.
I don't think it has anything to do with the seasonal theme, though. Like, I think that this season would have been better without the thing. I think the changes that they made to the DH and the Necro would have been such a good season that it's unfortunate that we had this seasonal theme because it does
Yeah.
change the way we play, but we would have changed the way we played anyways because of how
Mhm.
good these changes are.
Yeah, it was like buffing Legacy of Dreams, not on the Legacy of Dreams season,
Mm.
or
Right.
so,
Yeah.
like there's just like little things that can oversights that could have made these better. And I agree, the seasonal theme, although I don't think the seasonal theme ever would have been ideal because I think it's too cheesy. Like you can cheese it to do higher rifts than you should be
Yeah.
able to. And I'm not a fan of that,
Mm-mm.
but it does change the way you play, which is cool because you know what? In the grand scheme of things, we play the game the same every
Sure.
day, all day, 6 years straight. Like we
Yeah.
do the same things. We log in, we do rifts, greater rifts, bounties. That's it. That's all we got to do. So we can change the way we do those things, and that's really
Yeah.
cool. And I do think the seasonal theme succeeded in that point. So that's why I have a really hard time being like, it sucks, it's
I think
shitty.
that
Because I'm like,
this
well, it did
seasonal
work.
theme would have been more successful had it happened in a stale period where no class changes were made. Because then it
Yes.
would change the way you play,
Yep.
guaranteed, which it does, but
Mhm.
it's just not in the way we would want because we got all these cool things to play with. So
I agree. This should
Uh,
have hit
yeah,
way a
man.
while back.
I found this post and I thought you would like this. I thought chat would like this
Okay.
too. On Reddit, uh, basically being like, "Oh, Pee Wee is not overcomplicated. What do you mean?" And they're showing the skill Dominating Blow from the game, and there are, if you guys can't see, they're like, I
Yeah.
mean, no joke,
Like 40.
30
Like,
lines of text to
yeah.
read just for one skill,
Right.
which is just
Let me pull that up. That picture.
insane, dude.
Yeah, dude. It's like, oh my God.
Like what?
What so
are they
all that
thinking here?
text is literally just for that one skill?
One skill, yeah. So the skill in essence is basically like it attacks and then like minions get summoned.
Yeah, it's like melee strikes deal damage. Minions have 20% area of effect. Melee attacks. It's just line after line. Buffs last a second. Minions last 27 seconds. It just goes down forever and ever and ever.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, that's crazy. Could you imagine writing the code for that one skill?
yeah. I can't. I
What
can.
some,
It's
some
to
dude,
me.
there's
Yeah.
one guy on the team. It's like you get to make Dominating Blow, and he's like, "Fuck," and he spent like 6 years coding this skill.
It's to me. You know, as a programmer, if I don't know, if I'm even writing this, I'm like, whoa, guys, like
Yeah,
this is
what are you doing?
ridiculous.
Like,
Right.
no,
Yeah.
like, can we get a team vote on this? Like, who thinks this is ludicrous? You know what I mean? Like, no,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not. No, it's not a very complicated game. Could you imagine having a skill like that in Diablo, or putting an item in? Like, let's say they had like a mace called Dominating Blow. It was a mace, right? It just had all this shit on it. People would freak out.
Yeah. Especially in Diablo 3, because it's like.
Yeah.
That's
What?
just not where their audience is. And so people just like freak. Imagine tomorrow, right? The next patch, we got a new item, and it was like this much text. Like people would lose their mind. I'd be like, okay,
I'd say cool. I'd
Yeah.
be like, awesome. I'd be like, that's cool.
Finally, something complicated. Yeah.
I'd be like, hey, can we figure out if this damage is additive or multiplicative? Can you like put like in parentheses somehow in there so I can
Mhm.
figure out math on these things? You know?
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
It is pretty funny.
Did you see the post on Reddit about cheese and bots? I guess there's like some kind of exploit now where you can buy items for really cheap and then stack them in 10, and like people's bots will screw up and buy it for like way more than you paid for it.
Really. I
Yeah, so
saw a
people,
post by Empyrean where he set up a trap in his hideout somehow. And he would
yeah,
set like the cost of something super low. So bot's like bing, and like wants to get
yeah,
inside out, wants to make that trade. And somehow he'd
yeah.
like trap them in the hideout. And he ended up like basically crashing the server with all like that's how many bots are in Path to
So
Victory.
they
Like it's
couldn't leave.
crazy.
Like once they got in the server, they couldn't get out. They
Yeah,
couldn't get out of
once because you had to go to someone's hideout to make a trade. And so he had
Okay.
somehow set it up so they couldn't escape once they came into his hideout. Unless they're
How
just
would
like
you do
logged
that?
out. And
How would
but
you-
a
how would
bot doesn't log out unless like a person's there being like, oh, the bot's broken. I need to like restart
yeah.
the bot or something. So the bots would just like get stuck in their loop. And
Just
he would
chill.
just continue to pull them in, and like it literally like crashed. Like there's so many people.
That's funny,
It
man.
was like to me, it was like wow. Like I should have saved that clip because it was like I don't know 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago that I saw this. I was like, wow, that's like how bad it is. Because you don't really know because it's just like I think that's why Path of Exile does it better because like yeah, it's overrun by bots, but it's not in your face like it is in Diablo 3.
Right.
And that's why it's just
Yeah,
like it's so
behind the
much.
scenes.
Yeah, it's so much
Sure.
not in your face that it's almost
Yeah,
like
I'm
no one
seeing
knows.
if I could find that bot thing that I saw earlier. It was interesting though. But basically you could just buy something, and then I don't know why stacking it would make a difference, but they said that the bots would come buy it, and you
Amazing.
could make currency on it because they're broken. And I'm just like, if I'm playing trade league, I am all over this, man. I would do it.
Yeah, making money off bots, like I'd be
Yeah.
all about
Like
that shit, man.
I would scam the shit out of people with that.
Yep.
And I can't find it. It was on the PoE Reddit for those of you that wanted to look for it, man. And like I said, I'm not a trade league. I've never played trade league for real, so maybe it's not as enticing as it sounded to me, but I was definitely like scamming bots, dude. I'm down.
Mm-hmm.
So
It would be fun.
yeah.
It'd almost be like that one streamer that like tries to like frauds basically. So you can
Here
just
it
like
is.
focus on.
Okay, so it says you can easily scam bots for Satima's gloves, touch gloves. Do you know what those are? I don't know. It says buy a bunch of random slash crangled ones for 1 to 3C and then list 10 quantities for 9. And the bot, when the bot wants to buy, which in 90% of the cases they don't care, they'll pay the 9C for the junk ones. So does that make sense to you how you're scamming it?
And I don't know
He
what
said
those
he's
gloves
made
are, so
two.
I
I don't
haven't
know
I
either,
haven't
but
memorized.
he's saying he made 200C in the last half an hour doing it.
Nice.
I don't know if that's a lot of currency. Like,
I mean,
what is that?
200C is
Like,
not bad. Yeah.
yeah. He's basically saying like you can scam them with the gloves, and then the bots will buy whatever. Like, I guess he's putting the other ones, the junk ones, not the real ones, in there, and the bots buy it. I don't know, but
It's amazing.
that's the scam. I saw that, and I'm just thinking like, dude, if I played Trade League, I'd be all over that right now. So I try it. Hey,
Yeah.
trade. If nothing else, you're just screwing over the bots, right?
Totally.
So,
And that's why I got
you're
such
like
a
being
kick out of
computer.
that clip of them trapping the bots in the hideout. It was so
Yeah,
funny.
that is hilarious.
But yeah, in other Path of Exile news, I saw another post, and this might be just like lost on a lot of people, but multi-mod, we talked about it when it hit. So they nerfed multi-mod. Used to be a craft that cost 2 exalts, and 2 exalt is a lot of currency, especially SSF. You don't find them that often. And it used to be able to, you would take an item that was rare, so it meant 3 affixes, and you could basically craft whatever you wanted on it and fill out the rest of the affixes. And it made it like really good for SSF. So you could basically craft. It's not like you're not crafting the best possible rolls. There's like T3 rolls to craft, but they're pretty darn good because you can get all the stats that you kind of want on an item. But they nerfed it a couple leagues ago so that you can only craft 2 things on it. But they never adjusted the price. So it's still like really expensive relative to how strong it is.
Right. Performance gain.
Yeah.
That's because the Harvest was coming out. They knew that you could do it in Harvest, right?
Well, it was nerfed before Harvest.
I know. I'm just being
Yeah.
sarcastic.
Oh. Well, maybe they did. I mean, they have some foresight on what's coming with Path of Exile, so maybe. I don't know.
Right.
But as far as we know, this league isn't rolling over to standard, but we don't know. For sure.
They don't have. When do they announce that usually? At the end?
Chris Wilson was on the Bay class, and he mentioned that it probably wouldn't be rolling it over, but that's like they don't usually ever say until like that late of the league or something, because they don't want to like discourage people from like trying to learn it or whatever. I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, I just wondered if they announced it early, that people would know and they'd be like, "Oh, this is a thing. I need to figure it out." It was okay. I really hated how it broke the flow of the game, and we talked about it.
Sure.
So I think in general, Harvest was okay. It just killed the flow of the game for me to the point where I kind of stopped doing it because I was like, I don't want to go plant seeds right now. I just want to kill things.
But again, I would bet that if you're a longtime player, you would appreciate that break in the flow of the game because you've done it a lot.
I agree. Yep, I agree with that 100%. That's just from a new player's perspective.
Sure. And it totally makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah, so there's that. I totally agree with that. Outside of that, there's not really much going on in PoE that I can tell.
And I haven't jumped back into it yet since Diablo season started. Probably we'll jump back in a little bit and see. I really want to kill Awakener just so I can say I've done it, just to check it off the list.
Awakener 8.
And be like, yeah, no, just regular, just one. Awakener 0. So I think it'd be fun just to cross it off the list and have it on the things. But in all honesty, the games, like I kind of been watching you do Lost Ark, man, and I want to jump back in that. I think it'd be fun.
It'd be great.
So yeah,
I know that these Guardians are gonna get much more difficult, and people in chat are saying they're gonna get much like, oh, you think the Scorpion guy's hard? Like, wait till you get to this guy, and I'm like, oh shit. So they've said many times like, oh, that guy, he's a pug killer. Like, you won't be able to progress past him unless you have like a pre-made. So
yeah, so you need some friends, is what you're saying. So do it, and we need people. We're on the K server, whatever the name of it is.
Kratos.
Starts with the K.
It's
Kratos,
like the God of War guy, right? Kratos.
Kratos was God of War thing. Maybe different.
Same thing.
So I don't know. Close. It's been a slow ARPG week.
Sure.
A lot.
Sure. Yeah.
Did you see the Halo? So you being, I don't know if you guys know this that listen to the podcast. But
Yeah,
Fluff
don't talk
was
about
a
it a lot.
former Halo pro. He doesn't bring it up.
I really don't.
He's pretty humble.
Super rank 1 humble, by the way.
Yeah. If you have you seen the Halo
Of course.
gameplay
So
trailer?
I've watched it probably 5 or 6 times.
Okay, and I got really strong opinions on this. What are your opinions?
I have strong opinions as well. So the positives first.
Okay.
You know, grappling hook, great. I'm excited
Okay.
about that. More mobility, more skill. Love that. Sprint's back, great. The it does have like more of a Halo 1. No, it has like it seems to like be retroing to Halo 1 a little bit more than the past Halos. I don't know, you know, it's yet to be seen if that's a good or a bad thing. I did see as he's moving, it seemed like he was able to like slide sideways. So that was pretty cool. It's, you know, cool movement, I think. And in like logical movement, it makes sense. Like, of course, if you're in an actual gunfight, you probably want to slide sideways and not just forward or backwards like every game does. So I thought that was good. There's more positives. Let me think for a second.
Yeah, okay.
I thought the world, the surrounding, the environment. I thought that looked good.
Okay, you did. Okay.
The environment.
Okay.
And then when he opened up the map and we saw like, oh, it is like an open world and there's like maybe things to do. Like maybe this is, you know, that thing that I've been saying week after week after week after week where, you know, if the perfect Halo game to me would be like, you get a BR, you get a PvE Destiny style game, and you've got the classic 4v4 arena gameplay that we know and love from Halo. If you had those three in one game, it'd be the best game of all time. And so maybe it could be that. That could be that PvE. Maybe we grind loot or something like that. That's exciting.
I think I think I don't know, man. Graphically, from a graphic standpoint, it did not look next generation to me. It looked like
this right here is like, that is straight up a ship from Halo 1, and it doesn't even look like it got reskinned or upgraded.
Yeah,
it doesn't look good, man.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. I didn't think the environments looked good. I didn't think the guns were super impressive looking. It does look very Halo-ish, but it doesn't look current gen. It looks like fucking early PS4 days. And I'm disappointed in that because they touted this new engine and they you know it's fucking Xbox next generation launch title. So I expected juice and I don't see it. So I was disappointed in that. But okay, graphics aren't everything, right? So gameplay just looked okay. It didn't look like anything super impressive. Maybe if I were more of a Halo fanboy, I would have been like pogging out over things. I do think the grappling hook was cool. Halo has always been talked about how good the vehicles felt in Halo. I don't really have experience with that, so maybe you can comment on like, did you like vehicles? Was it fun to?
I mean, I'm an arena player. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this, but as a pro, no fucking vehicles, obviously in pro level play. So
yeah,
I've always hated vehicles. They're just so.
I'm not really a fan either, but people say they're so good in Halo, and Destiny implemented them so poorly that I'm like, these are garbage, man. Like, fuck, you know, let's get the speeders out of the game. They're horrible. So that's cool. Like he jumped it off the ramp, and it was okay. I mean, it didn't look super crazy nutty. But yeah, man, I don't know. It didn't look that impressive to me. I was disappointed. I don't know what I expected, but I wasn't shocked or in awe of anything I saw in the demo. There was nothing that was like, damn, that looks fantastic. It was just like, oh, okay. It's coming, you know.
Yeah, I think that to touch on that, like the negative things were obviously like graphically the mobs just they kind of look like a joke. And it's so much so at the end, like when he's like showing his teeth and stuff, I was like, man, this looks awful. And they focused so much on it for such a long time. And it's like, how did this even make it through as what you show the public? Because his teeth look like shit. His lips and his mouth look like shit.
Yeah. And if you look at the gameplay, like what is it the deal when they do these trailers? They always are using a controller and they're always panning the camera super slow with the controller, like at like half analog stick speed or slower. And
most of the players, most of the devs aren't that good at the game, so like that's probably highlight gameplay for them.
That's good at the game. Make your video clip.
Well, here's the thing. Did I ever tell you the story? So like, Halo 1, the very first tournament ever, like one of the biggest ones, was put on by Bungie. And so they had like this nationwide tournament, and like the top 16 guys got flown in to, at that time, Bungie. And they played, to whoever won. And I was part of that 16. And when they're like, okay, now that you've won, like your the top four people won, we're going to pit them off against our top four. And they actually thought they would win.
And they got absolutely shit.
And they had resurrected, I shit you not, they had resurrected a statue of this guy named Char because they thought he was just the best player ever. And he fucking got stomped by us. Like, not even close. So, yeah, I mean, like, this guy's probably good for someone at 343, but...
Right.
It was the coolest thing about Halo 5 is they had like a pro team on site. When they were making the game. So I don't know if that's what they're doing this time around, but
I will say that the big things I've seen, I don't know if it was in this trailer or I read it in an article, but Microsoft 343 did confirm that multiplayer is launching on launch day with the game. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see that?
I didn't know it was a question.
Yeah, apparently that was a question. And people were like, if it doesn't launch without multi, and they're like, no, it's shipping with multiplayer day one. So, I don't know, man. The grappling hook's kind of cool, though. I give them credit for that. Like, that's a unique thing. I don't know what the cooldown is on it, but looks like it's pretty short. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I figured. I thought of you when I saw it. I'm like, yeah,
totally.
Man, Halo 5.
I think if this isn't like what we're seeing here, if this isn't like a PvE like Destiny style, then like we're doomed to have like a 3-week long Halo hiatus. Like it's just gonna die.
I don't think it's going to be open world. I don't think it's going to be multiplayer shared world. I think it's going to be campaign and multiplayer. It's going to be typical Halo segment. Here's your single player campaign, which is what this dude's doing right now. This is probably the first introductory mission. And then you're going to play through the campaign, and then you got multiplayer.
But 343 has come out and said, like, this is kind of like our reboot. This is our like re-envisioning of the franchise, basically. And I don't think they're just talking about the engine. Honestly, like when I first saw the gameplay and like how the mobs look and stuff like that, it almost felt like, they're, because the first trailer was so vague, right? Like it was just like the environment, and it almost felt like they got in over their head on making their own engine, and they had to like just kind of go forward with what they had.
Yeah. And I think that's the case. I think I read in one of the articles, the same one that might have talked about multiplayer launching, that originally, I don't remember what the Halo universe is called, but there's like the rings. Is it called rings or something?
Halo.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what the name comes from. That those rings are called Halos.
Yeah, I think, but they were saying like there's rings, and I think what they were going to say is that you just traveled from ring to ring to ring, and there was like it was all open, like you could go wherever you want at any time, and then they had to scale that down to like a singletary planet-ish area or something, or a single ring or something. I don't know. I'm not a Halo nut. I don't know the lore at all. So, but they definitely scaled back. I guess the point of the article, or what I'm trying to say, is that they had this huge open world concept in mind, and they're like, that's too ambitious. We had to scale it down. So,
damn, that sucks.
So yeah,
it's obviously a big concern. Like Microsoft historically, they rush products. They definitely rush things. I don't mind waiting another year, 2 years for Halo if it's going to be really good, but that's not what Microsoft does. So obviously a big fear is, I know that 343 didn't develop the Master Chief Collection, but that was, honestly, I can't remember a time that there has been a worse, really. Even like Wolfson, I think, was better release than Master Chief Collection.
Warcraft 3 comes to mind. But yeah, outside of those are definitely the top of the list. The Master Chief didn't like multiplayer not even work.
Yeah,
at
didn't
all.
work for like weeks.
It was like, I thought it was months. Like it was like just non-existent.
It's insane.
And the game would crash, and so but it is going to come out on PC too, which I think again is a big oversight on Microsoft, man. If they want to sell consoles, dude, don't drop this on PC immediately. You can drop it later. But I know I would probably buy an Xbox to play this game.
I don't want to buy an Xbox.
But if it's on PC, I'm not going to ever buy an Xbox,
Yeah.
period.
No.
You know what I mean? So, and I that's good for me. I mean, I guess, but for Microsoft, like, dude, you guys want to move consoles? Like, don't put this out on PC immediately, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I'm surprised like Microsoft's never done, and maybe I don't know the full backstory, but they've never done like proprietary hardware where like, oh, to run this game, you need like this GPU or something like that.
yeah, that sucked, dude.
Yeah.
Nobody would buy that shit. That would piss people off
Right.
major. You
But
know?
it's like a console. It's like, oh, you need an Xbox to play these Xbox games. Well, you need this GPU to play these GPU games. Like I could totally see Microsoft doing that.
Maybe what they do is they implement some kind of like USB-C or USB 3 or FireWire 3 or whatever technology that they can handle the bandwidth they need, and they just make an add-in box like an Xbox box. Like, do you have a PC that meets these minimum requirements? And then their box could process, have a built-in GPU and play their stuff.
Hmm.
It'd be like a Xbox Lite, I guess. You just plug it into your PC. But I don't know. Cost analysis. I actually saw something that Sony lost $240 on every PlayStation 3 that they sold. Did you know that?
Hmm.
It's a lot of money, dude.
I mean, PlayStation 3
200
processors, like the government bought them up because the processor was so efficient.
Yeah.
Crazy.
$240 they lost per PS3. And they sold like 100 millions of them. Like, it's fucking crazy. Like, shit. And I knew they were taking a loss, but that's a pretty big loss.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, that's really
Fluff hates, P-Child loves?
the stuff. Yeah, man. What do you hate?
I'll tell you what. So I was watching this live when
Okay.
the Halo trailer came out. I was on the Xbox Twitch channel. And as soon as the Master Chief sprinted to the Warthog, chat lit up like, oh, sprint, garbage fucking game. Game's trash, not playing. Okay, leaving stream now. I'm like, shut the... I hate it so much. The
Why should you not have
gamers...
sprint?
Exactly. Gamers honestly hate like more mobility. They hate being able to move fast, or like it's too much to comprehend for like your average dude. And so it's like, well, let's just make a garbage chill game. Call of Duty.
Hard. Yeah, that's what makes it like positioning is everything. You know what I
Hate
mean?
it.
So if you get there, I don't understand why you would. Every game has sprint though. What game doesn't have sprint? CS:GO, maybe.
They just want
You
that
pull a
Halo
knife
2, you know, you just fucking walk like a slug, and I don't know.
I mean, Overwatch has movement. Destiny has movement. I'm trying to think of any good shooters. Apex Legends has movement. Fortnite has sprint. Fortnite has building. Like every shooter. Escape from Tarkov has sprinting, doesn't it? Like,
But even
I
in
can't-
Apex, they nerfed the grapples, so now you can only like do it, once every like 20 seconds now. Like any kind of additional movement in any shooter is getting like removed because people just can't handle how much better other people are than them because they can utilize it better than they can.
Yeah.
It drives me insane. Call of Duty
I
boots
couldn't
on the
imagine
ground
not
mode
having
is the worst thing that
sprint.
happened to COD. Anyways,
Yeah.
that's my fluff hates.
Yeah, man. For my P-Child loves, it's summertime, man, and it's ant traps, dude. I don't know, like my house must be built on like an ant mine, because every single spring I have to go out and lay ant traps down. So I've been in this house for 10 years and no, yeah, 11 years. And every single summer, late spring, early summer, I'll see an ant crawling across my kitchen counter, and I'm like, oh, it's time, dude. And I gotta go get ant traps out and put them. So I'm just saying, thank you, man. Whoever developed those juicy
That doesn't sound like a love.
arrow. No, man, I love ant traps. Hate ants, love the traps. So that's what I did today, man. Today I got to go out and put ant traps.
Anytime it rains in my house, brand new house, by the way, great. Anytime it rains, like they didn't make enough clearance from like the ground to the siding. Like there's barely any concrete there. So like anytime it rains, like I legitimately get like earthworms in my basement because I can just like crawl through.
So how do they get through the siding and they can get into the house?
Yeah.
How?
Because like the 2x4s rest on the cement because the cement like doesn't come up. It doesn't create a barrier. So it's just like go right fucking through. Yeah. That's crazy. Nuts, dude. It's fucking crazy.
That's nuts.
That's why you have to have that gap. Yeah. Like, because if a worm tries to crawl up like 2 feet of concrete, it's just gonna fucking die or give up. Or You're bugs. Right. Like they don't like that dry concrete. They like wet environments. So
Crazy. Yeah, I don't know much about how the foundation or whatever meets the base.
I only
Like
know
that's
about that because I don't have it.
because you're like, what's going? You had to research to
Yeah,
figure out how the
exactly.
fuck are all these bugs
Yeah.
getting in my house.
Yep.
Yeah, that does suck. Yeah, it's like it's ants, man, with me. Like the very first year, the very first 2 years I lived here, I didn't really understand. Like I never had ant problems ever. I didn't understand. And I'm like, my kitchen's clean. I'm not leaving food out. What the fuck is going on? Like, why are they here? And then so I finally figured out, how to poison them properly
Mhm.
and get rid of them. And then so now it's like as soon as I see one, I'm like, I already know. I'm like, all right, it's that time. So I'm ahead of the game. So
Yeah. That's why it's like,
but that's
you
just
know,
the joys of home ownership, man.
yeah.
Like you just gotta,
That's why like
figure that shit
raking
out.
your leaves, I guess, is super important because if like a pile of leaves gets next to your house and like stays there and like starts to like decompose and stuff, like it can wreak havoc on your
Really,
house.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that either.
Yeah.
So I've never had any issues other than this, and it's only they're always water ants. They seem to always want to drink the water out of the sink.
Weird.
So like, okay, I figured it out, dude. That's it, man. That's the ThaPChild loves ant traps. Fluff hates Halo noobs. Let's jump into some Twitter questions, dude.
Yeah.
We got. If you guys want to submit Twitter questions to the podcast, you can do that at Twitter. You can direct message either of us. You can add us. You can join our Discord, submit them there. There's a lot of ways to get a hold of us, man. Pick your favorite and do it up. Most of the submissions come through Discord though, so that's a great spot. I
Yeah.
always check Discords right before we go live to make sure we get the last ones. Um, the first question this week comes from Demonic Grizz, and he said, "If you could pick one legendary power from D3 to have in real life, which would you pick and why?"
And yeah, I could like travel across the world so fast.
what
I just got to kill
cooldown are
somebody
you
every 10 seconds.
right? What what cooldown are you going to reduce, man? Your sprint?
Yeah, I don't, my
Your stamina?
paycheck, I guess.
Your paycheck? Okay. Um. Oh man. How about Unity? I'd split damage. I'd split
Mm.
damage with Fluff. I'd make Fluff put the other Unity on.
No,
That
I'm
way,
not
when
wearing that.
I do dumb shit, he gets 50% of the pain too. So
Yeah. I'd be like drinking. I'm like, why can't I get drunk? You're like wasted.
I'm over here like, what the fuck's going on? I'm feeling so tipsy right now. Oh shit, it'd be hilarious. Saryu Watery, I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry I butchered it. A couple of podcasts ago, you were talking about cosmetics that were exclusive to platforms and how it's nice D3 doesn't have those. And then he goes on to correct us and show us that on PS4 Diablo 3, the UE edition, you could get Shadow of Colossus transmog sets and even exclusive mobs from The Last of Us were in there.
Weird.
So that's cool. I didn't know about that. I didn't know that PS4 had it. Was that only in Europe or was that North America that had that shit too? I don't know. So what's the UE, the Ultimate Edition? Is that a thing for PS4?
Mm.
I don't know either. Let's look. I feel pretty noob when it comes to
Console.
PlayStation or console
Yeah.
versions of Diablo because I feel like the Ultimate Evil Edition.
It was so surreal sitting down at BlizzCon and playing the Diablo 3 on console, especially like, I mean, for me, I think for you too, because you had never played on console before that.
I'd never played at that point either.
And it was like the game we know inside and out. It's in front of 3 guys that have played it for years and years and years, and none of us could figure out how to do anything. Like we're all
Bloodshed actually plays the shit out of it. He had played an entire season on Switch on hardcore, I believe.
Yeah.
And he was even like, "Oh man, how do you do this again?" And it's just like he had time. It's such a drastically different game. It's the same game, but it's not the same game at all. It's so weird. And like if you don't have access to a PC, then it's still a good game and it's fun. If you have access to a PC, it is a superior version to play on PC. Like I hate to say it, like all you guys that don't have PCs,
what
it sucks
elitist.
to hear. But it's just a better game on PC, unfortunately. I've actually made suggestions that would fix console and make console much better. They still use the Nephilim globe system on console. Yeah, Nephilim Glory, whatever it is, yeah. And they got to get rid of that. That's complete garbage because it's like 100% damage increase when you have those globes. So
I mean, apparently scaling is just a tough thing to do in Diablo 3. So we always like, oh, just change the numbers on sets. I don't know if it's not that easy. Maybe we're all just like totally clueless, but
I don't understand why that globe system is in there. That should be removed, and then you can just fix the sets, like just scale them up to match PC. Like it doesn't make sense. It's this like match the PC numbers and remove the globes.
well,
and
they have to adjust mob health, and that's like the scaling issue.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
There's more mob health on
has to have
console.
different mob health?
Yeah, console has more mob health. That's why you need Nephilim Glory.
Well, just scale them down. Dude, it's like a double damage.
That goes back to like apparently scaling's hard.
Again, man, I don't get it, but okay. That system needs to be gone, or just permanently include it then, so where you don't have to pick the globe up. Make the globe do nothing, hide the icon for the buff, and just always have the buff active. I don't know. Like there you go, problem fixed. Just get rid of it.
Intern could do it.
Fluff could do it. Hire Fluff. Cole Smash says, "Proud bacon supporter here. Thank you, man.
Gross.
Just wondering, what the ultimate
next question.
Diablo...
You know what? Next question.
Just wondering what the ultimate Diablo Elite affixes are for a maximum troll. Also, is Joe Rogan right that video games are a waste of time? So I guess he said that on his podcast at some point.
Yeah.
So the first question for the ultimate troll, Juggernaut for sure.
Yeah, Juggernaut's number one.
Juggernaut for sure. And then if you throw on, can you get shielding Juggernauts?
No.
I don't think you can. So we'll say Electrified, Juggernaut,
Horde.
Horde, yeah, Horde's good.
Juicy
and
map.
then Arcane, maybe Horde and Arcane together are pretty nasty.
Annoying, yeah.
Yeah. And with Electrified, a Horde, Electrified, Arcane, Juggernaut, I think that's pretty good.
That's Fatty, the grotesque or something.
Yeah, it's got to be a Fatty. Yeah,
or Spirit Thrower.
Yeah, or Bogan Trapper, any of the above.
Lakuni Prowlers are probably my least favorite mob type.
Okay. Yeah, they're bad, man. I don't
jump
disagree.
over CC. They just like everything's frozen and they can just jump still. It's like why?
Yeah.
Always
the ghosts can be nasty when they lock onto you. If you get a map full of ghosts and you're kind of squish, and all the ghosts lock onto you, there's nothing you can do about it. So you're
unavoidable
just
damage.
Die. Yep, unavoidable damage, 100%. And as far as Joe Rogan, like I don't know if he said that. If he did say that,
I watched it because I was like, "What is going on? Like, what's the big deal?" So I went back.
Recent?
Yeah, it was like this week.
Okay.
Joe Rogan said, like, he basically said, here, I'll give like the whole context. He said something like how, I'm really into jujitsu and I could, go learn, jujitsu, and maybe I'm super passionate about jujitsu and I start up like a jujitsu school. Like maybe I can't compete or whatever at a competitive level, but I can go like start a jujitsu school, share my passion, and maybe, this has become a financial thing. Like I can make money. Mm-hmm. Whereas like video games, like you're literally just wasting your time. It's basically, it's kind of what he said.
But so anything that doesn't make you money is a waste of time in his eyes, I guess. Like movies would then be a waste of time.
Well, because it's like, you're sitting down and it's unhealthy. Like we can't argue that video gaming is great for your health. No. So, with jiu-jitsu, you'd be like moving and
until somebody breaks your leg. But yeah, totally.
Yeah. And
like
then he would argue, that jiu-jitsu is like a skill, even though like, 90% of people that do martial arts will still get their ass kicked at the end of the day. Like, so he's arguing that, it's a skill, it's an actual skill that you can take. Like if me being really good at Diablo or you being really good at Diablo or good at Path of Exile, outside of those games, that doesn't do much for us. So I think that that's the other side of his argument. But at the same time, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that games have a lot of bad things associated with them, and they're super addictive. Like I think that games could be classified as a drug, and honestly, like I think I have a game addiction. Like I know I have a game addiction, right?
I say I have adrenaline addiction. That's my problem.
Yeah, is it a waste of time? Probably, but you have to put value on your enjoyment. Like if you enjoy doing it, and you have fun doing it, then it's not a waste of time, in my opinion.
Sure.
Now, if you're like on Fortnite screaming at the top of your lungs, super fucking toxically, like you suck, get good, blah, like those kind of players, then yeah, man, I think it's a waste of time and it's bad for you mentally, physically. There's nothing good comes out of that,
Yeah.
you know.
But I mean, if you look
Um,
society wise, it's, so we're sitting here 8 hours plus, playing a video game, but like it's okay for you to like, Sunday rolls around and you watch like every NFL game and stuff your face with beer and nachos and wings and
right.
like that's more socially acceptable. It's like at the end of the day, it's like whatever you want to waste your time on. But I
Yeah,
would
it's
also
entertainment.
argue kind of against what he said too. And this is going to sound super toxic, and we talked about this a little bit this week, but it's not, and I promise you. But so say, we're all playing Diablo, right? And maybe I have what it takes to get to the top of the leaderboard. But, for example, Riker has never really been on the leaderboards. I don't think he would even qualify himself as like a great player, but he's got a great passion for Diablo, right? And he's super passionate and like driven towards, making Diablo content. It's like that guy that's not good enough to compete at jiu-jitsu level, but he starts a school and he makes money that way. Like, so it's the same thing. Like if you're passionate about something and you work hard, like you can still make money doing it. So I don't know. I think that his argument was invalid, but
Yeah. I agree with it. I do think that there is a level of addiction that's associated with gaming that's unhealthy. And I even try to reflect on myself and I'll look back and be like, damn, dude, like I gotta step back a little bit. Like I'm completely addicted to video games and it's taking time away. Like where it's with the point where like I don't want to go do stuff with the family because I'd rather stay at home and play WoW or play Diablo or play Lost Ark or whatever. You know what I mean? So
yeah, sure.
definitely gets there. But that could be said about anything, man. People get that about cars or computers or whatever. I mean, whatever your hobby is, people can get sucked into it. So
yeah, I think one of the best parts is like of at least being a gamer versus like being into other things is like you always know where we are.
yeah,
like we're always right here. Like
that's
we're into
kind of
racing
like,
cars, you'd never be home, and you're like risking your life all the time and stuff like that. And it's like
that's kind of one of the things that my wife and I when we got together, I was a gamer. I've always been a gamer, and when we got together, she wasn't and never has been around anybody that was. And so we started dating, and it's like, vanilla World of Warcraft. I'm raiding 3 nights a week, for 6-8 hours a day, like doing this. And so we first started dating. I'm not just like, hey, I play World of Warcraft, and like I spend 40 hours a week playing this game. Like of course not. I was just like, go hang out with her on nights when it wasn't raid night and all these things. So eventually when she started like coming over and like staying over for long extended periods of time, I'm like, okay, I have to like I can't not play the game anymore. Like I gotta tell her like I gotta go play WoW. So she's up chilling, and I used to have this apartment, and it had like this really cool loft, and I had like all of my like living room shit was in this loft, and then I had like my office with my computer downstairs. And so we're chilling in the loft, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go play WoW for a little bit. Like, are you cool to chill? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. And so I go play WoW, and then like 2 or 3 hours goes by, and she comes down into the room, and she's like, "You still playing?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "I guess I'm gonna go home." And I was like, "What's? You don't have to. Like, what's the problem?" And she's like, "Well, I didn't know. I thought a little bit was like 30 minutes or an hour or something. I didn't think it was gonna be all night." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I'm doing a raid right now." And then I tried to explain, and it took like 6 months for her to like get it. Like it took 6 months for her to get it. And I'm like, these are online friends. These are, like this is just how it is.
Yeah.
And so she's cool with it now. But in the hindsight, it's like a lot of people are going out, a lot of people go out to like clubs or party or friends' houses or whatever. It's like my habit, just like you said, my habit or hobby is in the house. So if she needs to find me or my kids need me or whatever, they just open the door like, yo, hey, what's up? And I can be like, oh, okay, hold on. Let me come help you out. It's not like I'm not at home.
Totally.
So, I mean, what was it like with you and your girl? Like
Honestly,
like how do you explain the streaming thing? Like, were you streamer when we first met or not?
no. So when
Okay.
Lindsay and I first met, I was not streaming it. And as a matter of fact, when Lindsay and I first met, I wasn't really gaming that much because there's
Okay.
nothing I was really into at that time.
Okay.
But I had mentioned like very many times, like straight up, like I'm like, oh, I'm a gamer. Like
I'm a Halo pro.
I used to be a pro.
Yeah.
But I'm like a gamer, and she's like, well, that's cool. I used to game with like my ex-husband. Like I'm cool. I'm down with the games. But like, her idea of gaming was like,
Well, yeah, you don't like, no, you don't get it.
yeah, you like play
you don't.
for an hour versus zombies
Yeah.
on COD like once a week or something like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
so that's what she had in her head. And then finally, like something rolled around where like Diablo had come out with a good patch or something, or the Necro, I think, had come out the first year we met or something like that. Maybe the second year. And I went big dick on the Necro and just like went ham. And, I started making guides and the guides started popping off. And I was like, I think I'm really going to commit to this, like this streaming thing. And, and she was kind of familiar with the streaming thing because I legitimately would watch Quinn as I played games. Like I would just have him up on like a second monitor. So she was very familiar with like that world and like who Quinn 69 was and what Twitch was. And like she would almost ask sometimes like, well, why don't you do that? So yeah. And so like I finally did that. I was like, I think I'm gonna commit to this. And she was all in, but I don't think that like, at the time that she fully understood like really what that meant, that I'd be committing my life to this
Yeah,
thing.
I don't think there's any way to explain it because it was like that with my wife too. Because like when we met, like we've been together for a long time. Vanilla Diablo was our vanilla World of Warcraft was 2004, and we met late 2005. So we were still vanilla at the end of vanilla, early BC. And I was in a raiding guild. I mean, I played 40 hours a week of World of Warcraft, easy, you know. And so we met, and then when we met, it was like I put that on the back burner for a while, and like so we could go on dates and go do things and this and that. But eventually, I'm like, listen, I tried to explain it, and it took like months for her to get like, oh, this is real. And then it was like, I don't know if I want to date somebody that plays this much video games, you
Sure.
know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "That's cool." I'm like, "I'm not mad at you if that's, if that's not your thing. Like, I'll still go out and do stuff, but I'm gonna find time to get my hours in, you know?"
Yep.
And, ultimately, she accepted it and she supported the streaming thing too. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be doing it. But, um, yeah, it's interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
we only really have insight. Like, you're probably the only streamer I talk to like on a regular basis.
yeah.
That has a significant other, and for you it's like actually even crazier because like you have kids and stuff, so it's like I can't
Right.
even imagine that. But like I
Yeah,
really
and
don't get
I
to talk
think
to
you can
other people and relationships and like how that pans out and
plays
stuff.
out. Yeah.
Yeah,
And even if not streamers, just gamers, like, if you're hardcore, man, you're still playing 40 hours a week whether you're streaming or not, you know?
mm.
So but it's the same. I think you can see the disconnect in your ability to play like crazy long segments over the weekend and like an example, the season launch. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like for me, it's not a decision. Like I don't get to take 4th of July off and stream if I want to, even if I want to, because the fam. Like I just
Sure.
can't do that to the fam. Or like on Final Fantasy launch week, like dude, I went home and worked. Then I did the family stuff and played, and I beat the game in like 4 days, 5 days, and I think you did it in like 3 days. You know what I mean? And it's just like the ability. I think that's just it cuts down the time you have. Like I just don't have as much time in the day to
Yeah,
devote to it as somebody who's single like you, or not
totally.
single, but no kids and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, but
but it's
I knew like that. I knew that was gonna be part of the reason I didn't want kids. Honestly, it was like video games. Honestly,
yeah.
at the end of the day, I knew that
But part
that would
of
be a
it, the
problem.
other flip side is like I got my kids playing games, which my wife kind of hates that too. But I got my kids playing games and I play games with them, and like that's fantastic. It's so fun,
Yeah,
dude. Like so I've gotten dubs in Fortnite with both of my kids individually, and then with both of us as a trio. You know what I mean? And like that feeling in itself is super satisfying. And then on top of other games, like I play Destiny with my youngest son, I play NBA 2K20 with my older son, and so these games we play together, and like it's a pretty cool dynamic to have as
yeah.
well.
And that would be like that's interesting to me because like my dad was always home growing up.
Uh-huh.
He was always in the other room on his computer, but we had nothing that we like could relate on. Like I was never in the sports. He was super into sports. He was always on his computer, but like we didn't have anything in common when it came to technology. Like I wanted to play games and like look at computer parts and PC, and he just like Macs, and like he didn't want to worry about it at all. And like we just had nothing to ever bond over. And so we would always just be like I was super disconnected from it. He was like not, you know.
Yeah, and I get that too. My dad was the same. So my dad was like into fishing and hunting. Like that was his thing. Like, and I could like, dude, I don't want to kill animals. Like I'm not like PETA, but like I'm not gonna gut a deer. I'm not gonna skin a fish. You know, I'll catch a fish and throw it back, but it's not really fun. Like I'm like, oh, this I'm just doing it because to spend time with you, right? But that was his thing, was fishing and hunting, and then motorcycles. And so like the only thing that we had at all was motorcycles. And I like to ride bikes, he liked to ride bikes, and so we would go do that. And like that was our bond time. But that was it, man. Like I'm with you 100%. We could be in the same room doing the same thing, and it's just like completely, he's in a whole nother world. You know, he's thinking about like how is he gonna fucking climb a tree with his tree stand, and I'm like thinking about, you know, what am I gonna do in Mario? You know,
I honestly think like the closest I ever was to my dad was when I was in college, because we finally had something to like bond over. Like we went to the same university, and like we're getting
about school.
Going through like the same amount of hours, and like school's tough. And you know, I was the only one of his kids that, you know, went. They all went to college, but I was the only one that like graduated from college. And so like we just finally had something. But that after that, it was like, well, it's back to like now we don't really have anything in common again. So
super derailed. But yeah, that's the Joe Rogan experience.
It was an interesting, like I could see his points, but it's almost like you remember Jimmy Kimmel when he did that whole like condescending talk toward, like I still hate Jimmy Kimmel to this day because of all that, but it's like that not knowing and not fully understanding the whole spectrum of gaming and then making a statement, right? So,
and I'm sure we do that. I'm sure we're
totally.
Too. You know, like we probably talk shit on jujitsu. I'm like, yeah, who cares about jujitsu? You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
yeah.
But Onion says, would you rather have toes for fingers or fingers for toes? This is easy.
Toes for fingers. Wait, no. Fingers. Sorry, fingers for toes.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah,
because if you have fingers for toes, you can still use your hands in normal manner.
Hands are super important.
I would imagine your fingers would work probably better than toes, anyways. So you could like pick things up with your feet, or maybe use your feet for more than just walking. I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. Lindsay asked me this like when we were like having drinks one night. Okay, this is a legit question.
Okay, legit. She asked this seriously. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was just like a question she read somewhere, but it was an interesting question. So you got to choose between never having sex again.
Okay.
And like losing your arms.
Hold on. You get to never have sex again, or you lose your arms, but you get to have sex.
Yep.
You know, I'm not having sex.
Yeah.
Like I mean, can you like sex yourself? You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean, that's the same response I had. So,
like, if you could like, you know, make love to yourself, then absolutely, I'm keeping my.
No, I assume you just lose all capability of like pleasure in that regard, in the sexual quadrant.
So, like, let's just say it doesn't work ever again. Okay. Yeah, I'm still losing sex. Like, you can't function without arms, man. Like, you would lose everything. And then not only that, who's gonna give you sex if you have no arms? Like, you know, hey baby.
I mean, you still got okay.
I mean, yeah, but would you just gonna lay there and like? I mean, then who's gonna do that? You know, I mean, if you could pay money, I don't know.
I'm just saying. Yeah,
I don't know, man. That's yeah, that's not even. I would keep my arms.
Yeah, I think most people in Twitch chat would agree because we're all gamers. But
yeah, it's like you're not driving a car, you're not riding a motorcycle, you're not opening a door, you're not unzipping your pants, you're not like you couldn't even go to the bathroom, you couldn't wipe your butt. Like, how are you gonna wipe your ass if you don't have arms?
Like, like, there's people out there with no arms that make it day in, day out.
How do
I don't know. We don't. This is one of those things where we don't know, and we're like making comments.
I'm just thinking about all the things that you would like. So you could use was it duvet? What's the thing that shoots your butt with water? What is it called?
Bidet.
Bidet. Yeah, there it
Bidet.
is. Bidet. You could bidet your booty. I don't know. Yeah. Toes for fingers though, or fingers for toes. Yep.
Yeah.
Raztog says, "Do you guys happen to see the Lazy Peons video, Ashes
my
of
God.
Creation, an upcoming AMMORPG?" Summit reacted to it. Now it has 800,000 views. What are your thoughts? I haven't seen it. I've heard about the Ashes MMO, but I haven't really researched it much. Chat keeps talking about it.
Yeah.
So I'll have to look into it.
Literally number one question this week, and almost annoyingly so. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look
Have you
that
seen? Have you
interesting.
looked into it?
Yes, I
Okay.
watched the Lazy Peon video, and
Okay.
it's like whatever. I mean, I just don't know. I don't know that MMOs like, I don't know, for me, work anymore. So
Mhm.
it's one of my biggest turnoffs from Lost Ark. If Lost Ark wasn't isometric, there's no way I'd still be playing it.
Yeah, but Lost Ark is the combat.
Yeah.
And like that's the only reason.
But even if it's an MMO, like if Lost Ark was like tab target over the shoulder, would I still be playing it? No.
If the combat felt as good as it did, maybe.
I'm not a fan of that style anymore.
I'm okay. I like MMOs. I like WoW. I guess I shouldn't even say I like MMOs. I like WoW, and I think it's got 15-year head start on anything new that comes to the market. There are so many WoW killers in the last 15 years, and none of them have been even remotely close. The only WoW killer is WoW itself. So I haven't looked into it. If it's, I'll check it out.
Did we
and
say
see.
duvet? Or did we say bidet?
I don't know. I might have said duvet.
I don't know.
Is that
either.
a guy? I
We
don't
meant
know.
bidet, team.
Bidet.
If we said duvet, don't use your duvet. Yes, bidet. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I don't know what we said.
I've never used the bidet. Have you?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
It's big
It
brain.
seems like it would be a +1. Like I feel like rinsing would be better than dry paper, but this is a whole disgusting conversation for another day.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it would be a +1, man. So, yeah, I'll check it out. We'll see as it becomes a thing. I'm not too excited about MMO announcements because they never ever live up to the hype.
Yeah.
So
We
I've never
we
seen
have
them.
been slighted by many MMOs over the years.
Yeah,
Like,
I
oh,
can't
WoW
think-
killer, and it's just like
I can't
hot
think
garbage.
of one that's even lived up to the hype of me playing it more than a week. Like I tried Warhammer, it wasn't good. I tried Age of Conan, which was supposed to be the WoW killer. It sucked. I tried the Star Wars MMO that went free to play later on. Like I pre-purchased that and got all the cool early adopter bullshit. That was okay, but it still wasn't near as fun as WoW. I don't know, man. Any MMO out there I've tried. I tried the DC Heroes one thing that it was okay, but again, didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just go on and like I've tried every MMO.
Yeah.
They're none of them are that good.
I have
So,
vivid memories of playing Terra, like for the first time. That was one of the games I can remember, like, wow, like this game is awesome when I first started playing.
what did you say, Terra?
Yeah. Because the combat was good.
There was one.
It was the first game where you'd
Japanese
aim.
MMO where you had wings and shit.
Yeah, that was Ion.
Yeah, Ion was okay.
Terrible. Ion was
It
terrible.
was okay. It was okay for like a couple days, but it wasn't one that you just kept playing. It lost its interest to me. Like I said, it's a month. Did Terra go free to play? I think I've played Terra too.
Terra's free to play.
Yeah, I think I have played this.
Yeah.
I've
It's
definitely
so
played
good.
Terra.
It's the first MMO that like successfully,
Yeah, and
depending on your class,
Terra, didn't you have to like you
aim.
had like a shield, like a block shield, and you had to like choose the side of your character that the shield was going to be on?
No.
Does that make sense? Like when
Mhm.
melee combat?
No, you'd like
Maybe I'm
dodge
thinking
and
of
stuff. I mean, I played a
Yeah.
warrior. He was a dual wielding dude. So I don't know.
Maybe I'm mixing up MMOs. The only MMO I haven't played that I'm interested in at all is Final Fantasy 14. It looks interesting. It's just got a really steep curve to get into it. It's like a $60 purchase, and then I think there's a subscription fee too. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But that's a lot to get into a game to not even be sure if you're gonna like it.
It's
So.
crazy to me that like Final Fantasy and ESO, like they don't really have any ways of jumping into the game to try it out. You have to like just buy in.
Yeah,
like,
they should have
what?
like a free trial to like level 20 or like whatever
Yeah.
their mid-range level is. Like that's what WoW does. Like let you play level
Crazy.
20. If you like it, you can just subscribe.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the last and latest and greatest content, then you got to buy that. Like it makes perfect sense, but maybe they're happy being small fry. I don't know. I don't know if 14 is actually that good. People that play it say it is, but then I don't see those guys playing it anymore. So
I played it pretty heavily for like a week, and I like did everything. Like I had a paladin, got the raiding, did all the raids that were available at the time, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that was fun.
in a week.
Yeah, it was like a week. I mean, I went ham. I was like, that was like 15
Yeah,
hour
but
days.
you couldn't scratch the surface on WoW in a week. Like you couldn't even.
You don't think
You're not in
15-hour days?
not,
Like 1 week, 7 days?
no, you couldn't get into raids. Like not unless you had people carrying you. You know, if you had viewers that are like, yeah, I'll carry you through a heroic raid or through a normal raid. Maybe in a week you could do a normal raid if you went ham on Mythic Plus. Like you'd have to have people that knew what they were doing. As a brand new player, a week? No, absolutely not. So if like I re-rolled a character in a week, sure, but not a brand new player. Let's see. The Hex says, what's something that you can get away with if you're popular, but not if you aren't? Something you can get away with if you're popular. I'm gonna say
Talking shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say being a dick is kind of what I was gonna say.
Talking shit on a game company that like invites you to shit. You could never get away with that as like a small streamer.
Like Quinn, for example, can talk all the shit he wants.
I wasn't gonna say it out loud. But...
Quinn can talk all the shit he wants on any game, and he's gonna get invited.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, yeah, I mean that's a perfect example. But I think that's part of his thing. Like he's just honest and open. You know.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just like
but like
this system is
for
built.
Example, you talk shit all the time, and people just think you're an asshole.
Yeah, so, exactly. When Quinn said it's like, oh, he said in a cute little Kiwi accent. When Fluff said, God damn, that's toxic.
Yeah, well, that's the truth though. You just gotta you don't have that cute little voice to get away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like, oh, this guy's a dick.
If I followed it with a C or pussy in my ass, I guess it wouldn't be as big of a deal.
Yeah, you can't get away with it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say kind of being an asshole. You know, I think that I guess but there's really close. Let's see if I can think of something else. I think being man, it seems like when I think popular, I'm thinking of like celebrities, right? Like these guys that are super disconnected with especially with like all the COVID shit. Like man, financially I know so many people that have been let go from their jobs or have like, they're struggling and stuff. And it's just like people are like, oh, I don't understand why it's like you're not a big deal. And I'm like, it's because you got fucking $40 million in the bank. You know what I mean? So it doesn't affect you.
Yeah, it does seem like it's pretty rare though. Like that's just like one little thing. That's like one of the only things I can think of. Like there doesn't seem to be I mean, other than being president of the United States, it seems like if you say a bunch of dumb shit, like it's gonna come back in your face all the time.
Yeah, probably eventually. I'm sure it'll come back eventually to everyone, but we'll see. That's it, man. That's all the questions we had this week. Our movie theater's open. So my anniversary is actually a week from today. It's next Tuesday.
What a year.
It's going to be 8 years, our 8-year anniversary.
That's it?
That's it. We've been together for a long time before we got married.
How long have you been together?
Like 16.
Goddamn. Why would you separate celebrate two different ones? Why wouldn't you just have the one?
We don't. We just celebrate our anniversary. What do you mean?
Just the wedding anniversary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would think the other anniversary would be more important. That's how long you guys have been together.
We don't have a date. Like we don't have a date for like when we became a couple. Like we met in like March of whatever year, 04 or something.
Wasn't Facebook around? When did you change your status?
Was that a thing? No, man, it was MySpace back then, dude. It wasn't even Facebook. Well,
reboot that page and check when you change your status, bro.
Dude, that MySpace page is deleted, man. There was too much trouble on that bad boy. So, yeah, man, it'll be 8 years, which seems like forever. I mean, I don't know. It's gone by quick, and it seems like a long time at the same time. Like it's gonna be creep it up soon. But yeah, so 8 years, and then that's Tuesday. I think we're gonna celebrate this weekend though, so I don't think it's gonna cause conflict with the podcast. I think we'll still be juicy. So, but yep.
Unless you go on a rager, all weekend.
Yeah. if we do a whole weekend
You
thing.
just get smashed. You drink for the first time. You get a taste for it. And you just go crazy.
Become a raging alcoholic. I'm showing up to the podcast late and drunk.
You might actually be entertaining, at least.
Oh
so.
my god! See, that's the thing. See, like Fluff is a dick right now. It's not...
Yeah. Oh, I should have said it in Kiwi accent next time. Next time. Yeah.
Next time, work on that. That's it, man. That's all the questions we had. If you guys want to catch more of me, you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all the places at ThaPChild.
Yeah. I'm Lord_Fluffy. Double those underscores on the Twitter. We'll see you boys next week.